I do want to hear the whole story. What I was trying to do is give you the benefit of the doubt, which was you found this thing really helpful. Now I know for your kids, for your family, and you're like, I want to share this with the world, which I think is a beautiful thing. I think that's great. What I want to know is when it got out of line. My assumption was that you want to play up a character that was larger than life because that could touch more people, and by touching more people, you could probably help them. I think that's best case scenario for you. Now, using the performance-enhancing drugs allowed you to have this, like you see this in cartoons, bro. This is not like a real thing that you see regularly, right? And because of it, when you're scrolling on Instagram and you see a guy walking around like that, you're like, what the fuck is going on, right? I think this makes sense.
Sure.
You're walking around the liver, like all these things, like the way that you created the virality around you is very impressive.
It's brilliant.
It's genuinely impressive, and your comfort doing podcasts and all that stuff, having never been in entertainment before, incredibly impressive. So there are components to this where, as someone who's in entertainment, I go, wow, this guy knows what the fuck he's doing. What I'm curious about is, when did it get out of your control, if you will?
And why lie?
And why lie, yeah.
Yeah, you know, almost immediately it got out of control because almost immediately, you know, this question was asked, you know, if I'm taking anything. And so why lie? I shared this before, I'll share it with you guys. I mean, the mind is such an incredible weapon. And I'd convinced myself of a couple of things. I'll just tell you 3 of them. You know, the first is I'm like, what the fuck does this have to do with my message? This is what I'm thinking, right? I'm thinking, this has nothing to do with how people are hurting and hating and the simple solution to live a better life. I'm thinking, what the fuck does this have to do with my message? I'm not gonna talk, I would say, you convince me what day I should talk about these accusations versus the day we should talk about the hurting and hating and the path to a better fucking life. You tell me what day we should do that.
Today.
So I convinced myself of that.
Right.
The second thing is like, I'm thinking, what the fuck sport am I playing? Right? Who the fuck am I cheating? Again, I'm not saying any of this is right. All of it's wrong.
I understand.
We're not giving any pushback. I genuinely just want to know what was going through your mind, and these things seem reasonable.
This is what goes through my mind, and I'm thinking about, you know how many 15-year-olds have DM'd me, I wish you were my dad.
Whoa.
You know, I hate the fucking life that I live in.
Yeah.
I hate myself. You know, and I wish you were my dad, and I'm thinking, oh, god damn, you know. I convinced myself that this is not the message that this 15-year-old needs to hear. So I just fucking kept digging. You guys know.
Do you remember the first lie? I think people empathize with you. Lie about something and then it just gets whatever. But like, do you remember when you first lied and what went through your mind? And like, you remember that moment?
You know what? Not exactly. I do remember that Logan Paul gave me the opportunity to come on Impulsive. And I remember them asking me then. You know, and I remember, oh, fuck, okay, you know, this is what I'm gonna say. And I started saying it. And then once I said that, you know, like, I'm fucking done.
It's over.
Yeah, now you gotta dig in.
Yeah, you know, and yeah, talk about doubling down and tripling down. I mean, you know, I keep telling people this is the stupidest fucking thing I ever did.
Yeah.
You know,
did you plan to do that before you went on the show? Like, was the conversation like, oh, if they ask, say this, or was that something that came up?
Well, people had already asked the DMs. People had already, you know, been commenting about it.
Were you responding to DMs or just?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was. And so I already had started lying about it. And so once again, like, this all went through my head the first time somebody asked. I'm like, okay, I convinced myself of X, Y, and Z. So I'm not going to come out and share that information.
Yeah.
Why the fuck does it matter? Will this information ever come out? You know, and yeah, once you start fucking lying, you're done.
Yeah.
You're fucking done. I will say that there's so many fucking silver linings in life, though.
Yep.
And I don't know if you guys know this, but like, as soon as this happened, I called Derek. I called him. First of all, he didn't answer.
Yeah.
And then I sent him a text and I said, hey man, I just want to thank you. And so then he answers. I'm like, hey man, actually the first thing I said to him, he answers, he goes, hello. And I said, hey, how fucking long did it take for you to make this documentary?
Yeah.
And he goes, weeks. And I said, weeks? You spent weeks making this documentary. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And I just want to say thank you. I don't know what good will come of it, but good will fucking come of it. I'm on the fucking show right now.
Yeah.
You know, I have this opportunity to be completely fucking honest with my boys. I've been lying to my boys, my own boys.
Wow.
You know, about this.
Now, is it in some ways liberating?
Completely.
Carrying around a lie. Maybe, I'm sure your wife knows about it, forcing her to lie. I don't know if the kids know about it, but basically you're carrying around this lie. That, people get crushed under that pressure,
weight,
especially when your identity is rooted in your physique.
Yeah, I think 2 things happened. For sure, it felt like a weight had been lifted for about 5 seconds.
And then immediately.
And then immediately it's like, you know what, like, you know what I'm dealing with now.
Yeah.
You know, of course I'm gonna own it. And of course, you know, like now I have a deeper sense of obligation and responsibility to remain to my true north, to get this message out because of the people that were counting on me. Irrespective of it, if it happens through the Liver King brand or not, you know, I've always said I'm the CEO of the Ancestral Lifestyle. Here's the thing, I need 100 fucking CEOs of the Ancestral Lifestyle. You know, if this thing's gonna work.
Yeah.
You know, if this goes mainstream and we get people to execute at a deep level, it's like, this is way bigger than me. And so for a second, I'm like, oh, cool, the weight has been lifted.
Now, do you think that there was pushback because, okay, let me phrase it like this. I don't think you're getting nearly as much pushback if you just happen to be an accountant that looked like this and preached the ancestral lifestyle. The fact that you had businesses that were profiting off of it, I think makes people give pushback. And I think the second that you mentioned how much money the businesses were making, once you put money out there, envy follows, and they want to tear that ass down.
Yeah.
So what is your thought on that? Do you think if you weren't profiting off of the way you look and simply just pushing it, that you would get next to this much scrutiny?
Yeah, the first thing I'll say is Liver King just launched a year and a few months.
Yeah.
I've been in supplement businesses since 2014.
Right.
I mean, with Liver King, the public figure is brand fucking new. Right. And what I can tell you is my businesses have always grown a certain amount. That amount hasn't increased, nor has it decreased. So what another thing I'll say is like, you know, again, the true north is the 9 ancestral tenets.
Yeah.
Now, anyone can sit here and say, oh, your businesses are profiting, you know. All I really fucking give a shit. Listen, you don't gotta, you know.
I'm really speaking more towards perception, because right now we operate in perception, not reality, right? The internet is perception.
But that is the reality.
Exactly. So perception becomes reality. So when they say my businesses are, when they see a headline that's like Liver King's business makes $100 million last year, they're assuming you pushing Liver King, not your other supplements that have nothing to do with you, that people don't even know the brands that are exactly associated. They're just saying $100 million, Liver King products. Then they find out you're on steroids. They're like, this motherfucker was lying about his body so he could sell these Liver King bars and make hundreds of millions of dollars. Fuck that guy.
And adding to their hatred, think how many people...
Have you tried the Liver King bar, by the way?
Did you bring any for us?
It's so fucking good. Lifetime supply for everybody here.
How about one?
You guys bring out the Liver King bars. Bring them out.
I gave you a whole spread. You didn't give me none.
Liver King bars, Liver King bars.
We're not eating your shit until you eat our shit.
So I guess what I'm trying to get to is like more the perception, right? Because we're operating perception. You can empathize with somebody that sees that.
100%.
And
I can empathize with them.
Resentful.
I deserve it. They should be resentful about it. You know, again, like, I apologize because I lied, because I deceived people, because I misled people. Again, I fucking own it. I deserve it all.
Right.
And, you know, and what I would say to anybody who wants to retaliate or go somewhere else, right? What I would ask, you got to be loyal to the facts that people are hurting and hating at record rates.
So
and listen, you want to go somewhere else? Go somewhere else. I don't give a shit.
You're like, get these things from Huberman. Get these things from the many other people that are preaching very similar philosophies that will help you with your life. That's what you're saying. So you're saying it doesn't need to be Liver King who's pointing these things out. It could be Derek from More Plates, More Dates.
And guess what? Every one of them saying the same thing. They're all saying liver is king.
And they're saying make sure you get an ice bath, make sure you look at the sun, make sure you do all these things. Clearly these things work. You call them in the ancestral tenets. Huberman's going to call them something else. More Plates, More Days going to call them. Rogan's going to call them something else. But what you're saying right now, it's more important to you that people do these things so they could feel better than they just follow you as their Lord and Savior.
This is my why in the world.
Got you. Now, my question is this. Because I saw the apology, and I thought it was great that you apologized. Now, can you also empathize with the people that felt that you were using the suicide stuff as a shield to protect you?
Sure. You know, what I'll say is this. My 10 to 15-year-old self was the hardest fucking time in my life. I'm grateful for it. This was my first rite of passage in life. Every day I got the shit kicked out of me. Like I said, I'm grateful for it.
Yeah.
But here's what I remember. In middle school, my bus driver killed himself.
Oh, no.
And every day prior to that, I remember looking in the mirror just wishing I wasn't this fucking guy. Zero self-worth, totally humiliated and embarrassed of the human that I had become. When he killed himself, now I fucking knew it was possible, you know, and I knew the world would be better without me. I could talk more about those years if you want me to, but a couple years later, my best friend's brother killed himself. I've had talks in my family about people wanting to kill themselves. Just last week, we had a 14-year-old girl close to the family kill herself. And you know what? Nobody wants to talk about this.
Yeah.
Why the fuck are people not talking about this? 4,000 people a day do it. 80,000 people a day try to fucking do it. Somewhere along the continuum, people are suffering and struggling at record fucking rates. So this is what I would say back. Number one, this is why I'm fucking here. The only reason why I'm here. And then secondly, I think when somebody has the opportunity to talk about it, you better fucking talk about it. It's dangerous if you don't. It's irresponsible if you don't. So you want to laugh and say, oh, he's just saying this to do that thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I know you're not laughing, but other people are saying, oh, he's shielding.
No, I was very for me, I'm very sensitive with that kind of stuff because I have close family members who have been suicidal.
We all have.
100%, right? So like me not knowing those things about you, my knee-jerk reaction was like, whoa. Are you using this thing as a shield? I've seen certain people use the suicide thing as a shield for like protection from the ugly beliefs they have. Like it's a topic that's used often to be like, well, I know I said this fucked up shit, but by the way, did you know this is happening to men? We need to look out for men. We need to be careful, and we need to nurture them. And everybody's forgetting men. When you tell me that you've had these close people in your life kill themselves, immediately I empathize. I go, oh fuck, man, he really does care about this stuff. He went through a tough time in his life. His kids couldn't even fucking breathe. You're trying to find ways to make life easier for people. Now you're a person. Now you're Brian Johnson.
Yeah.
Now you're not Liver King. The problem with creating the mascot of the cartoon is they don't have feelings. They don't have family.
Yeah.
They don't have emotions to the consumer, right? Fucking the guy on Captain Crunch, I don't know what he went through.
Right.
I don't know how many cousins he got. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know. That's just the Captain Crunch guy who sells me Crunch Berries. And that
Yeah,
is...
look kind of similar.
Yeah, exactly. The benefit of being Captain Crunch is you can be everywhere.
Yeah.
But the problem is nobody gives a fuck about your feelings.
Sure.
So for me, that makes me feel better when my knee-jerk reaction was like, ooh, I think that's a shield. And a
think-
shield that I'm really sensitive about.
If you can talk also to that, because I think the perception some people might still have is, yeah, but the perception, not the reality, is, yeah, but you didn't really start talking about this until you got exposed. So if it mattered to you so much, why weren't you leading with that before? And I could be wrong. I might not have watched enough videos.
Yeah, you're wrong.
I saw you talk about it. I saw you talk about it before when I was doing some
So you've been
research.
talking about this the whole
From
time.
the
100%.
inception.
But
100%, okay.
but the people who aren't consuming all your content
Yes.
are once again just going to see it.
Oh, I know,
So
yeah.
that's why I think it's to be honest. Why I wanted you to come on here. We don't do gotcha interviews. That's not what it's about. I just want to know was like going through like what was going on in your life, and as these things happened, and as you saw this, kind of runaway train happen. Like you said, you wanted to go in the email from like the followers you had to 1 million, and then you became one of the most viewed people on the internet in a very short amount of time. You get all these DMs that are reaffirming the good that you're doing. It's very easy probably to block out the lie when you have 15-year-olds going, thank you so much for helping me. You go, okay, we could do that. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying you're Castro, but it's like I'm sure there's a bunch of people that were in Cuba going, oh, this shit is great. Thank you. We finally got some food. A bunch of other people going, what the fuck is going on? What happened to all my riches? The road to, this seems so exaggerative, but like, what do they say? The road to
hell is paved with good intentions.
The road to hell is paved with good intentions. You know what I mean? Now, I don't think that you're going to hell for this, but you do seem to have good intentions, and I do believe the intentions. It is it's a very tricky thing. It's a very tricky place you're in.
Yeah.